So I'm Kate Steele, and this is Stories Worth Telling, and I'm very excited to have as my guest John LaMattina. And John is the head of research, the head of the Research Advisory Board for the Terri Brodeur Foundation. It's TBBF, cancerfoundation.org. John, thank you so much for being here with me today.
I know my pleasure to be here.
Do you know what day it is?
What day it is? 23rd of September or 22nd of September?
22nd, because you've been all over the world. I heard that you were in China and Africa and Ireland.
I've had a busy summer, so yeah. But we're here now, and we're getting ready for our big walk on the
October
4th, the first Saturday of October every year.
And it's an annual event, and you've been doing this for 20 years?
20 years is when I started.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations on 20 years.
Thank you.
That's historic. That's huge.
Well, it's a testament to our community, because the support we've had from the community over the 20 years, we've raised probably now about $7 million, which for a relatively small organization in Southeast Connecticut is terrific. And every penny of the money that we get from people goes to breast cancer research.
I think that's phenomenal. I just have to stop you right there.
Okay.
$7 million, and it all 100% goes to fund the research.
Breast cancer research.
That's
and
amazing.
The history behind that the foundation was started by two people, Sandy Maniscalco and the late Norma Logan. They had gone to a fundraiser walk in Massachusetts to raise funds for the same sort of thing. And they were shocked to find afterwards that only 70% of the money that they raised was going to breast cancer research. Because when you do one of these walks, you pledge, I'm going to raise a certain amount of money and have it go to the foundation in that case. And so they came back and said, we're going to start our own walk. And I remember Norma Logan coming through. She was also a Pfizer colleague, as was Sandy, and said what happened. And she said, we're going to start our own foundation, and we're going to do a walk, a 26.2-mile marathon across Southeast Connecticut. And I said, right.
That's a stretch.
That's
that is
right.
A stretch. Yeah.
And then she said, and I want you to help and be on the board. And you would never say no to Norma.
Oh, boy.
Unfortunately, she passed away, but sure enough, starting in Old Saybrook on that Saturday morning, usually you get there before the sun is up, and once the sun comes up at 7, people start to walk, and they go from Saybrook Point over the bridge into Lyme, Old Lyme, East Lyme, Niantic, Waterford.
So we'll see them on Saturday,
You will see
4th.
them. And it's not now just, the first year was a full marathon, but we've evolved to be not just a full marathon, because not everybody can walk 26.2 miles.
You know, it's a stretch.
And people want to do it, so we created a half marathon along the way. So if people, about halfway when the marathoners come through, you start the half marathon. Then we have a 10K, so a 6.2 mile. And then even for those who just want to do a 5K, maybe with their families, we do that in Harkness Park. And we try and have it all finish by about 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. So it's a long day. It's a lot of work. At Camp Harkness, exactly right.
Okay, that's where you
go. And that in its own right is just a terrific event.
It's phenomenal. Well, I was looking on your website, and the website again is tbbcf.org, and the website has so much valuable information about how to train for a marathon. Now, I know you're a runner. I know that you are a marathoner.
Yeah. I've never done the walk because I've always been involved working and doing different things there. But we even have some people who will help support the walk, direct traffic, or whatever, and then they'll do a virtual walk the next day, so that they can get people to support them and that they can contribute as well to raising the funds. So it's a terrific event. But we need. I'm going to understate the number and I'll get chastised for this. We need probably about 220, 230 volunteers to put this on, because you've got people at various turns, you've got people directing traffic, you have people giving out refreshments.
It's a high traffic area too.
Absolutely right. But the community is very supportive. Put the police in along the way. Old Saybrook Police, the water, everybody along the whole route are just fabulous. And,
well, it's a
very
lovely scenic area. There isn't a more beautiful spot to walk.
That helps.
Yeah.
As long as it's not raining. We've had some in the 20 years. So pray for sunshine as well on October 4th.
But not beastly hot. We just want.
No, that's true.
Something in between.
That's true. So
yes.
We get a little extremes, but it's terrific. And then halfway through, we provide lunch at Rocky Neck Park, and again, that's through the goodness of a lot of people who provide sandwiches and things. So it's quite a day and quite a production.
Quite a day.
And while it's our main fundraiser, I want to point out the community supports us in a lot of other ways. So there are schools that will put on marathon volleyball games with the money going to breast cancer research. There are local stores, liquor stores that will have pink ribbons on some of the bottles in their store, where if you buy one of those bottles, they contribute $1. There are ice cream places that will donate ice cream sundaes on Mother's Day for us. So not only does the walk raise money, but these other events raise money as well. And I want to give one shout out to a couple who just donated to the foundation. Now, one of our fellowships, we will grant $125,000 over 2 years, which is a nice sum. It's not the National Institutes of Health, but it's a nice size grant, particularly a starter grant, as we'll talk about. But Stacy Tata and Norm Boulanger have donated themselves $125,000 in honor of Norm's late wife, who passed away of breast cancer.
Aww.
And
well, we're sorry for the loss, but so appreciative of that
absolutely
generosity.
Right. Absolutely right. So
and what a nice legacy to remember your loved one.
It's wonderful. And so when you get this sort of support in the community, it's just a tremendous experience and very nice to be a part of.
Well, and it sounds like you've made some headway as far as the statistics on breast cancer. In 2005, I think we almost thought of it as a death sentence, or that a woman would have to have a complete mastectomy, and there was always fear that perhaps it had metastasized. Yes, but what are things looking like now? It's 2025, 2026.
So the tremendous progress in early detection and people getting
the mammograms.
Mammogram, exactly right. And that's a big help in early detection. Early detection is key. If you can detect early.
With anything, right?
That's true with prostate cancer or any kind of type of cancer. There are enough treatments out there. Progress isn't made. There are no cures just yet. But you can treat people and hopefully have a much longer life as a result of early detection and the kind of breakthroughs that have been made today. But we still have a way to go.
Of course you do, but you're making progress, and I love the spirit and the tenacity, and it feels like Norma's life is still living.
Norma, memory.
In her memory,
inspires
absolutely.
Us all. Inspires us all.
She inspires us all. And I enjoyed looking at your website, and it said homeopathy will not cure breast cancer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. Like sometimes people think, okay, let's do alternative things.
Yeah.
Now, we lost my brother to cancer, but he was at Sloan Kettering. But I loved the treatment that he got there, because they were amenable to just about anything, whether it was music therapy or aromatherapy. But this was all in conjunction with the radiation and the chemotherapy that he was receiving.
Sure. Look, I'm not an MD, I'm a PhD, but I have been involved in R&D research across all sorts of areas, including
research and development, and you worked at Pfizer.
At Pfizer for 30 years at Pfizer, and still I'm working with small companies, startup companies now, including some oncology companies. And look, I believe in drugs. I know no drug is perfectly safe, but drugs that are approved by the FDA have been thoroughly tested, and the understanding of the risks and benefits are well known. If people want to go to homeopathic therapy as an adjunct, I think that's great.
An adjust, I think, is the
underlying
as an adjunct.
But
my husband was a scientist, right?
Yeah, as a scientist, I just to do that alone, I would never do what would I recommend any of my family do.
Right. And the clinical trial, that whole process of drugs getting approved and the review and the statistics.
It takes years to get drugs approved, and usually tested in thousands of patients, monitoring people very closely over this period of time. And trials are done in combination either with placebo, if there are no drugs to treat that disease, or in comparison to the best therapy that's out there. And so you get a pretty good feel for what works and what doesn't work. And and the benefits and
side
downsides.
effects
And you know
Yep.
that ahead of time, and you know what to monitor for.
Yep. So it's valiant work, it's brave work, but it's so necessary and it's so important.
And what makes it also important are the volunteers who agree to be part of these clinical trials, because without people volunteering, then you can't get anywhere, because you have to be able to run trials in patients.
So important. And I just want to pop in with that Margaret Mead quote that,
Oh, please.
And we just talked about volunteers. We talked about volunteers who are actually part of the Terri Brodeur Breast Cancer Foundation Center, and we talked about the volunteers that show up at the events that you're having, the one that's going to be on October 4th. But Margaret Mead, one of my favorite sociologists, never doubt a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.
And as I said at the outset, we're beholden to our volunteers. And we only have really one paid employee. Of course, to meet our goal of every dollar goes to breast cancer research. But we do have some expenses. Putting on a walk across Connecticut costs money. Getting porta potties costs money. Renting trucks to set things up. But for that, we're very grateful to our sponsors, people who will sponsor us, and they know that the sponsorship money will go to support the organization, for our website, for mailings that we do, for the walk, and all of these other things. So, as I said, the community is terrific, sponsors, volunteers, etc. But our whole board has always been a volunteer organization, and very dedicated people. We meet the second Tuesday of every month, and we plan, and this has made tremendous plans for the 20th walk this year, and it should be a great event.
Are you doing anything special since it is the 20th? It is an anniversary?
Yes, but I'm going to hold that back a little bit. There are some things we've never done before that we're doing this time.
Okay.
And some things are in the final discussion stages.
Okay, I won't ask. I don't want to spoil the surprise. But I think there's a myth that breast cancer is something that only women get, and we know that that's not true.
That's a great point. A small percentage, admittedly, of men get breast cancer, and we've had men survivors do the walk as well.
That's great.
So and you're right, everybody thinks of women, but men can suffer
But to your point, though, everybody's affected, because everybody knows somebody. You've had a friend or a relative, everybody knows somebody.
10% of females, I believe, get breast cancer, and so it's hard to not isolate yourself from that.
But there's a genetic link to it.
There can be, but there are, yes. So there's certainly a genetic links, and people will, if they've had a parent with breast cancer, they will go and get tested and test for the same things, and then deal with the consequences of that testing are. But some people get breast cancer with no family history.
Oh boy.
And so, but that's why you get mammograms every year and get tested and stay on top of that.
Now, at one point in time, they were talking about pulling back the annual mammogram. Am I correct on that? But then I think most recently they're saying yes, absolutely, every single year, and not just the annual exam, but self-check.
Yeah, and that's always a key, self-testing, and self-awareness is always good. But no, I'm hoping that with a lot of changes now going on in healthcare, including cutbacks to budgets at the NIH for all cancer research, including breast cancer
National
research.
Institute of Health.
You're hoping that they don't cut back on funding for testing as well.
And we know that that's just such a vulnerable area right now. It's like we're so close to having, we don't call it cures. What do we call it? We're so close.
We're hopeful.
Very hopeful with certain types of cancer.
Nick Saccomano, who really leads our scientific advisory board, he's often said, what are we going to do next after we cure breast cancer?
Well, there you go.
The Brodeur Foundation is still in business right now, and we'll probably be for a while yet, so we're not quite there, but we're hopeful.
Oh, okay, hopeful, okay. And do we know the causes of breast cancer? There's different types,
Different types, usually genetic abnormalities that will trigger cells to go rogue, basically. That's true of all cancers, and particularly in breast cancer cells, and tumor cells get activated and go forward.
Now, is that because of stress or environment, or
I think
what causes them to go rogue like that?
Could be a lot of different things. Some cells just form and get extra sensitive to estrogen, for example, and will trigger estrogen-based breast cancer.
So then when a woman is going through menopause where her estrogen is being vulnerable or variable, I guess
all
is the
cancers
word?
tend to be more prone when you get older,
Okay.
and your cells get more susceptible to the various cellular processes. So, but even young people, premenopausal, can get it too.
Okay, but to that point though, it sounds like maintaining a good, healthy lifestyle really lends itself to.
That's true for everything.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, all of these drugs that you've heard about, to treat Ozempic, Wegovy, to treat obesity, are having an impact on reducing cancer rates, because obesity can also lead to various types of cancers.
Sure.
And so, healthy lifestyle, exercise, weight, not smoking, all of that contributes to a reduction in cancer incidence.
Okay. Well, my niece is a physical therapist, and she said motion is lotion. So staying active and being engaged.
People have said if you can put in a pill the benefits you get from exercise, you'd have a wonder drug, because exercise does an awful lot of, and it doesn't have to be running marathons or walking marathons. It's 3 or 4 times a week for about 20 minutes of walking or whatever is helpful.
Get a dog, right? Walk your dog around the block, and then you.
That could help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, did you want to talk about HERG and AAA?
Well, what I will do, my guess is your audience may wonder, well, how does this whole thing work? You guys raise all this money, well, what do you do with it?
Okay.
We, every November or so, will solicit proposals for funding by the Brodeur Foundation.
So these are young PhD?
These are young researchers committing to a career in breast cancer research. And I'll give a specific example in a minute. But then we get about 25 proposals. You know, some years we've only been able to fund 3. This year we're going to be able to fund 5. And I can tell you, we get high quality proposals from all the best places. Dana-Farber Cancer Research, Memorial Sloan Kettering, Yale, Harvard, some from the Sloan Foundation at MIT, Cold Spring Harbor, even as far away as places in Texas, at the MD Anderson.
Did I see something in Europe too? Is there something in the...
Well, we haven't funded people in Europe, but some of the people we've funded have come to this country for being educated, and when they get their degrees, they go back to Europe. And what's been fun, and if you go on our website, you'll see a map of the 70 some odd people and where they are now. And a lot are in the Northeast. But we've got people in China, in Japan, in France, South Korea, all people who have done their breast cancer research here and then have gone back to these their institutions there and proliferated this kind of research. So it's been wonderfully
You're changing
rewarding.
The world, just like what Margaret Mead said. You're doing it.
Exactly right. And the other wonderful thing we've seen is some of the people who we initially funded 10, 15 years ago have gone on to major careers in breast cancer research, pretty important researchers. And they now have research groups, and some of their new people have applied to the Brodeur Foundation for funding, and they've gotten ours. So now we're having second generation.
That's amazing.
Founders. But I want to give you an example of how this works. So,
what happens in November? You raise the money in
October? In November. The board will meet in early January, and by the end of January, we announce we'll interview them by Zoom, and then the board will pick the top 6, and we'll debate them, and then how many we give out. And like I said, we can give 10, 12, 14 of these because they're that good, and we have to really look closely and really pair things a little bit to get there.
And then do you do check-ins every 3 months, 6 months,
every day we get
annual
reports from them along the way that we look at in the progress, and it's pretty impressive. And then they'll undoubtedly publish their research, and the Brodeur Foundation will always get acknowledged on, and this work is published in some of the best oncology and cancer research scientific publications in the world. So that's also
thank you, John, for that.
Don't thank me.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you're the head of research advisory.
It's the sponsors and the community. They raise the money, and we get the fun part of giving the stuff out. So that's the. And we get to look at this.
That must be so fulfilling.
Oh, absolutely. And,
I can imagine,
and then these people are so great. Now we have an annual meeting every year, and we're able to bring back one of the recent awardees.
Sweet.
And they'll come back and they'll talk to the people. And about 70 or 80 people will show up for our annual meeting. and you get these young, bright-eyed researchers, and there are little tears in the eyes of some of the people in the audience because the research might be talking about something that might cure something that they had
or
suffered
something
from.
that somebody had that was in their family that was 10, 15 years ago, and had this person been
wow, boy, that comment has been made a number of times,
right?
because these researchers come and you know, they're pretty humble, and
right.
you know, they're starting out in their career, and they're rock stars when they come, and you know, there's usually a lot of people to speak to them, and they say exactly what you just said. I wish this research had been done some years ago. I had somebody, this relative or this friend, that died. So it's a pretty, the whole thing, from the walk to the start to everything is it's very valuable to be a part of it, from whatever, however you're contributing along the way.
Okay. And people can contribute. People can get
absolutely.
involved.
So the first thing you should note is that you go to the website. You probably have friends or relatives who are walking or participating, and they have to commit to a certain amount of money to raise, depending on what event they're doing. So if they're doing a full marathon, they may have to raise $500 in donations. For the 10K, it might only be $200 in donations. But you can go on there and contribute $5, $10, whatever you want, and help your friend. Your friend hopefully has reached out to you. Your relative has reached out to you to help them raise their funds. And I have to say that people always make their quotas, and usually way more than their quotas, which is also nice. We have team competitions, so there are teams, and we acknowledge the teams that raise the most money, the individuals that raise the most money. It's really a great thing. So yes, but you don't have to know anybody. You can go online and just donate. If you have a relative who's suffering from this horrible disease, contribute.
And then donate in somebody's honor, in somebody's
that you
memory.
can also do. And you know, every penny is going to breast cancer research.
That's
so
amazing.
No overhead or anything like that.
That's amazing. That's just phenomenal. And you can't restate that enough, I don't think, because, well, even some organizations, nonprofits, and there's a lot of them out there, a lot of them can't tout that.
Organizations have a lot of infrastructure costs, and if it's particularly very large ones, and I'm not taking anything away from them.
No, I know, I understand
We're small, and we live to our founders' creed, and we try and follow, we follow that as best we can.
Well, thank you for that. I know you won't accept that thank you, but thank you for that. So, and I think I already said it, but I thought the website was phenomenal. And I do have a friend who's running this year, and I asked her to do something with me over the weekend. She says, I can't. I'm training for the TBBF.
Well, that's the other thing. So we also put on training walks for the ambitious people who want to give it a try, and there are marathon training and even half marathon training walks, and some of them start in Mystic, some of them will start in Waterford, and you go online and you can see it. You show up on a Saturday morning and you could walk 10, 15, 16 miles to get ready for the big day. And you don't do a training walk of 26 miles, nor do you do a training run of 26 miles if you're running a marathon, but you slowly build up to it.
13 or 20, right?
Yeah, usually 20,
right.
Or 18 or 20. But if you do that, you'll be able to get by. You get a lot of support. We have a lot of people cheering you on the road.
That makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, and at each water stop, and they have food, stuff to eat, and oranges and bananas and
very
candy
sweet, very
and
healthy.
Gatorade and stuff.
I've never run a marathon. I've run a few half marathons.
Good for you.
So yeah.
So you know what it's like.
But I do know what it's like, and you do get your stride, and you get to a point where it really starts to feel good in a crazy way. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're a runner yourself, so
yes,
you know.
well, I'm more of a veteran trying to hobble my way through. But yeah, I've had my experiences.
Yeah. So, well, do you have any interesting stories or things testimonials? I think there's some really nice ones on the website.
I want to do one thing, and that's talk about one of our more recent winners, because it really describes what we do. And he came and spoke at our annual meeting last year. His name is Dr. Sam Kleeman. Sam was educated born and bred in the UK. He's got his bachelor's degree at Cambridge, I believe, and then got his medical degree at Oxford. So here's a full-fledged doctor. But he decided he wanted to come to this country because he really wanted to get involved in what's called translational research. He didn't want to see patients. He wanted to deal with patients and work on potential cures for breast cancer.
So slow down a little bit. Translational research
Taking
involves
ideas that you might find and then translating them to patients. So
Okay.
that's what it's called. Do some basic research that may, and I'll describe SAMs in a minute, that basically looks interesting, and then try and take it into patients to see if you can not
Love
only be
it.
a scientist.
Love it.
So he came into the United States, he went to Cold Spring Harbor and got a PhD in immunology. This guy doesn't only have his medical degree, he's now got his PhD. And then he applied to the Terri Brodeur Breast Cancer Foundation to work on his next project, which was very unusual research. So on the first step, we always look for people just starting their career to help them get involved in breast cancer. But the second thing Sam did was totally out of the box. And that we also try to do some cutting edge stuff that doesn't normally get looked at or funded by like the NIH or something like that.
Of course, I love that.
So that's the second. So Sam's was looking for things to treat triple negative breast cancer, which has very poor prognosis and which no real treatments. You have treatments. We talked a little bit earlier about estrogen positive breast cancers and HER, but nothing for triple negative. And Sam had found and had hypothesized that, interestingly enough, the brain has these receptors called NMDA receptors, and triple negative breast cancer cells also have these NMDA receptors on them. Nobody was really doing any work in this area, so we funded Sam, and he went into the lab and developed animal models, and sure enough, has found that if you have animal models and you build models in such a way that they're NMDA receptive, it seems that you can block this type of tumor in these animal models.
Oh my
now,
gosh.
we're a long way away from a cure for triple negative. On the other hand, we now have an area of research that suddenly now lots of other people are getting into because Sam's research has been published and they continue to work on it at Cold Spring Harbor. And there are now tools and antibodies that you can use to treat this. So maybe in a not too distant future, it's all relative, I guess, but not too distant future, we'll have treatments for triple negative breast cancer. And as I said, this is just what the sort of thing we look for. A young researcher getting started in his or her career, looking for cutting edge research, looking for funds, and it's the type, and it's funds where with the $125,000 grant that we give over a couple of years, that can make a difference in this work.
Absolutely.
And this is just what we do. And so that's what everybody works toward, everybody funds, be it the volleyball team or the bake sales or whatever, to help make this happen.
Oh, thank you so much for all of that. That's phenomenal. And you have an office that you're located, is it Waterford or New London? Where do you?
It's in New London, actually. We're very grateful that Doherty, Beals and Banks provides us an office in there and has for years. In their facility, and so yeah, we have our office. We don't pay rent. We don't have many. We have one paid employee part time, relatively speaking, and so everything's going to the research.
That's amazing. I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah.
Now I asked you a lot of questions. Is there anything I didn't ask? Anything you want to share?
I will say one thing. If somebody can find a time on a beautiful fall Saturday to come out. I would recommend coming to our closing ceremonies.
Okay. And what time would that be?
That's usually around 3:30. But if you get there in the afternoon, you've got some people who will come in earlier from the walk, be it whatever walk they're doing. And we have a big balloon structure that they can walk through. We have an announcer. But it's pretty moving, and particularly somebody comes in, they're pretty wiped out, and they've got family members waiting for them, and hugs and tears, and then we have a little bit of entertainment.
Well,
a little
after
bit
26
of
miles, you're tired.
That's exactly right.
You're tired, you're cold, you're hungry, right?
Exactly right. But I will say what's really moving is then at the closing ceremonies, we have survivors who are willing to come up, and they get a flower and get recognized, and a lot of tears.
And that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's why. That's our why, right?
Exactly right. So,
John, wow, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about the foundation, and hopefully we'll inspire some walkers or some sponsors or some volunteers.
Absolutely. I think I'll be there on October 4th this year. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Been an amazing guest.
Thank you.
Your brilliance just shines. Thank you.
Thanks.